Hello and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast with me, Lindsay White. I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and create inspiring workplace cultures through innovative talent programs and practices. Because when people feel like they belong at work, they deliver their very best and businesses thrive. The Female Founder Friday podcast is all about connecting with the most incredible female entrepreneurs to talk about their journey to creating their own business, the mistakes they've made along the way, and how they view their own leadership. And I'm challenging all of my guests this season to take my leadership style quiz. And during each episode, we'll be digging into their leadership style and how it impacts the way they lead in their life and their business. And if you're interested in learning more about your leadership style and want some of my top tips to help you lead more effectively, you can take the quiz right now. Just check out the show notes or head over to highvoltageleadership.ca and click on the button at the top of the page that says Take the Quiz. Then you can share your results, connect with my guests, and join the conversation on Instagram by following me at High Volt Leadership. Awesome. I have my friend Carla here on the podcast today. Carla, I'm so glad to have you. This is my turn to interview Carla because I've been on her show. So now she's on my show. So I'm in the driver's seat today, which is so much fun.
I love it. The tables have turned. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I can't wait for this interview.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I was excited to chat with you. So, Carla, you've had a pretty interesting journey to becoming a female founder. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I started my career in corporate after graduating from business finance school. And, before that, I had an accounting mom and I really did not want to be an accountant. So I found something in business where I was good with numbers. I really like to earn and save money and married those two together into this finance career of mine. Spent 10 years in corporate and then started consulting for business owners who I noticed had a pattern of creating businesses that were just not sustainable or profitable long term.
Yeah.
They really didn't know or understood the number side of their business. And they really felt like completely disempowered by it. And sometimes, just struggle with it. And I was just sitting here looking at it, being all excited about how I could fix all that for them. And I started to talk to people about that and landed my first client who also happened to inspire the name of my company. As we were working together on her business. And funny enough, she was a leadership coach as well. And I learned so much from her. But when we were working through the business, what I found is that, we were obviously trying to build wealth personally for them, as well as create more value for their business, the worth of it. Yeah. And I knew she had it within her to do it. And that's where that name came from, Wealth and Worth Within, for my business. Inspired by the work that we had done together where, they're the experts of the business. I'm just here to kind of guide the financial side and perspective of it to ensure they have the right expertise to drive profitability and again long-term viability, making sure they're paying themselves, they have cash in the bank. Those are really critical aspects of having a business that actually works for you instead of the other way around. Because we see it too often where people are building businesses, everyone else is getting paid but you, and we don't want that. We want you to be happy and excited about it and do it for the long term. So going from that experience to now helping so many clients, get real results, the numbers online, and helping them shift their views on what a business should be doing for you, how it should be profitable, and how it should really serve a purpose in your personal finances by generating the right level of income and revenue and margins for yourself and for you to get away what you need out of the business have been an amazing journey. And playing a role as another leader in the company for my clients as the CFO, partnering with them, has also taught me a lot of things in how to be a leader and, how to partner with them and show up for them.
I love that. So first of all, what a great story. And I think that is so wonderful that your client inspired the name of your business. What a wonderful way to create that whole brand that is just so client focused. I really love that. And I also really appreciate that you see yourself not only as a leader of your own business, but as a leadership role with your clients and in the way you partner with them. Because I think that is a really great description of what most of us want to do is be great partners but we don't often think about that. That's actually a leadership space, isn't it?
It is absolutely. And the way we show up really impacts how clients feel about their business and how they perceive their business, and also helps them feel inspired on what's possible, on what they
Yeah.
can create going forward. But without that leadership in place, you're just another transactional person in their life. And they have plenty of that to support them, which is great and it's needed. But when we are working with our CEOs, we really show up in a different way to ensure that it's that high level executive type of leadership
Yeah.
where we're steering the conversations in the right direction, thinking strategically, thinking longer term as well, beyond the tomorrow or the month after. We're
Yeah.
looking at years ahead sometimes and working backwards on our plans to future proof their business, and really make sure that we are heading in the right direction and pivoting when needed.
Yeah.
It's really how we show up for our clients to partner with them at that level. Also, in a way, I feel clients feel they feel elevated, or they feel like they're being pushed into that leadership position that sometimes they're not
Yeah.
very comfortable with.
You know what? It's so true. I'm really glad you brought that up because it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. We see and hear a lot about you have to scale your business. You have to scale, you have to grow. Are you, 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever that next level is. And what I often think about is the business owner. Have they scaled the way they operate? Have they scaled their leadership? Are they thinking at that strategic level? Because when we start our businesses, we're in the business, we're doing the work, and then our business grows, but we're still really immersed in the work. And when you move into that next level in your business, you have to be something different as a business owner. So, Carla, that is exactly what has been happening in my brain lately.
I'm so glad you kind of pinpointed a little bit further into this particular topic, because what I keep noticing with clients and the work that we do is that the mindset tends to be such a huge barrier,
Oh,
because they
huge.
don't see themselves as leaders, or
Yeah.
they haven't stepped into that leadership role because there's so much of the doing. They're
Yes.
doing too much themselves, they're not delegating enough, and they're also not holding their team accountable to produce results and support them, and allowing team to support and show up for them, because
Yeah.
it's so hard. They've been doing it all on their own, and they think they're going to continue to see better results by going down that path. And that is absolutely not how you're going to see the growth in your business,
No.
let alone last long enough to be around. And so when I see clients to start to bring in that team, just really support them, and then they find this rockstar team, that's even more life-changing. But then they know, oh, now I have to be the leader for this team and transform into that.
Bingo. You can hire all the rock stars in the world. If you are not ready to lead rock stars, they're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So you've just poured a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money into your recruitment and your onboarding. It's expensive.
It
3
is.
times the value of the first year of salary into your recruitment and onboarding. That's the stat. And then they leave because you're not ready. You're not leading at a rock star level. I love it. Carla, I think you may have just nailed my next marketing campaign right there. Okay, we can totally turn this podcast off now. I got everything I need.
We're good to go.
We're good to, but that's really it. Like, if you're
Mhm.
not ready as the business owner, if you are not ready to step into leadership, if you are not ready to think strategically and be a compelling storyteller so that you can articulate the vision, the long-term vision of your business, and enroll other people in that mission. If you are not there, you can hire all the awesome people in the world. They're not going to stay, and they're not going to deliver what you want them to.
Yeah. And I find that, people are very forgiving and like
Oh, yeah.
flexible. When you're trying to grow as a leader, you don't have to be the perfect leader to show
No.
up, at all times that way. You learn from your mistakes and you grow from that. But it's allowing that vulnerability and like being very honest and open with your team about where you're at, where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find that the team steps up even further to help you get
Yes.
there as a leader. And, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to not feel ready. I think we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
But then we realize how much we know, how much we bring to the table, how much
Yeah.
value we can add to mentor and coach and develop our team. But then there's also need to be a passion for that. And I
Yeah.
think not everybody has a passion to have or manage a team. It's very time consuming. That onboarding process you talked about, the training, all of this is time, and time is money. As you know, we manage it the same way around here. But not everybody wants to be a leader, and that is totally okay. It's better to identify it now and know that about yourself, that maybe you prefer a solopreneur lifestyle business rather than a fully supported team, millions of dollars type of business. And it's nothing wrong with that. It's just being clear about it and knowing that that is who you are, instead of trying to push yourself to be something you're not.
You know what? I think that's absolutely brilliant, that point, because I see a lot of people that that was not what they intended. We sort of build these businesses and they grow, and we're like, well, I need a person to do this. I need somebody to do that. I need somebody over here. And then we turn around and all of a sudden we got 20 people reporting to us. And then we think, holy shit, you mean I'm in charge of all of this? Like, it's like we're surprised. Some of my clients are like, I don't know how this happened. And they could be employees, they could be contractors. You still got to lead contractors. They still need you to lead them because they need direction. And they're, you know, I've worked with clients where they're like, I really don't know if I can do this. You can do this. Everybody has the ability to lead. Does everybody have the desire to lead? I think is the difference. And you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself.
Needs to be an intentional choice and a decision, 100%. Right? So you're 100%. Fully in. And also, it's funny, you say, how did this happen? You get to 20 people in your team. It's one hire at a time. That's how that happened, by the way. We counted 1 to 4 to 20. Just saying, the numbers online, like, go look at your numbers. You'll see it all, how it happened and when it happened. And then second, like, that's when you need to bring in an expert and have that organizational chart and structure conversation to decide if there's layers of management needed in your team at that point. And sometimes we have those conversations a little too late. And, you know, it all comes down to sometimes, can I afford it? And you're asking those questions and you're not sure. And that is the role of a fractional CFO like myself, to help you navigate when it's time to go afford that management level team, to be able to feel confident in bringing those people on, knowing that they're going to help you handle the team. And then now we created a structure where maybe you have 3 leadership roles managing the remaining 17 in the team, or 16 in the team, not counting you, and making sure that you're only having to manage 3 people, then have teams that they manage, right? But again, that's not going to happen by accident. All of this is intentional. We have to plan ahead. We have to budget for it. And if you don't know how to do that, you know, we obviously do that kind of work with our clients, but also Lindsay helps with the organization design and structure. And if we see that this is happening, we most likely will flag it for clients to say, hey, we kind of grown a little, and we probably just start having that conversation when you get to 7 and not 20.
No, you know what? And I think that's a great point. A lot of business owners do leave it too late. And then you're trying to go back and you're trying to fix things. You're trying to undo things. You're trying to build the plane while you're flying it a little bit too much. We're all building the plane. Like, let's be clear, but you do need engines, right? Like, you got to have the basics to get off the ground. And I love that you tied the two things together, because the money part's important. Like, let's just be clear about it. You've said a couple times, the numbers don't lie. The money piece is important, but it is also important to plan the talent the same way that you plan the money. Those are the 2 biggest things in your business, and your people, whether they're contractors or employees, are your biggest expense line, hands down. They're your biggest and they're the most impactful expense line usually. If you can manage the money and the people, your business will explode. It'll go crazy, because if your team is happy, they make your clients happy. If your clients are happy, they bring you more money and they bring you more clients, and your revenue goes through the roof. The math is simple, Carla, right? It's totally straightforward.
It's much more complex than hard to execute on that. But yes, the numbers are pretty straightforward for sure, Lindsay.
Pretty straightforward. And yes, all the things that go into that, right? That's way more difficult.
Yeah. And what we see is, like what you mentioned about flying the plane or building the plane while you're flying it, is so true. And then what ends up happening is people shy away from bringing in experts to help with this
Yes.
decision making, and they bring them on too late or never bring them on at all. And then what happens is they're trying to become a finance expert. They're trying to become an HR expert. They want to become the attorney as well, right? They want to have the expertise on everything, but they can't because they are stretched too thin already. They're doing 20 bajillion things, and we just don't have the time for this, right? So knowing when to bring in that expertise to help guide the process, make it less painful, and get you there faster and with less issues and problems, you need to know when to bring that in as a leader. Be able to say, you know what, I will not become an expert in this area. I know enough, but I need to bring in that expertise. And then obviously, can I afford it? That we answered that question for you. But my point being is, when is the right time when you need to say, you know what, I won't have the time to become an expert in this. I have no desire to be an expert at it. And yes, we all need to know enough about hiring, about numbers and stuff to operate our business. Because guess what? You are the expert of your business. We expect you to bring in your input, your expertise about what is working for your business, pair it with the expertise that we bring on our area of knowledge, like finance or, HR, and bringing that together to make even better decision making. Again, faster, less problematic, and really alleviate the pressure and give you some peace of mind around those decisions you're making.
Yes, 100%. You need to know enough to be dangerous, I always say.
Yes.
But you need to stay in your own lane, right? And I think you make a great point. We always talk about lessons at the end of the show, but yes, I think the lesson for many business owners is bring the expert in when it first occurs to you that you might need it. You can negotiate price, you can negotiate contracts and involvement and levels of service, but get the expert advice that you need, right? Like our gut tells us and we kind of ignore it. And I think that that's absolutely critical. So so many great points, Carla, like, to be honest. I'm going to ask Carla next about her leadership style, because you can tell already she takes leadership pretty seriously. Carla's already taken my leadership style quiz. If you want to take it and find out what your leadership style is, get some of my top leadership tips to help you right away, go to the show notes. There's a link. Go to the website, highvoltageleadership.ca. There's a button at the top of the page that says take the quiz. Click on that. It's going to take you a couple minutes. You'll find out your leadership style. You can compare here with Carla and join the conversation over on Instagram. So Carla, tell us, what is your leadership style?
So I would say I'm a pretty hands-off type of person. Yeah, I don't want to be in the day-to-day managing people. I like to empower them to do their job, kind of show up in the best way that they can with their expertise, right? Just like we do for our clients.
Yeah.
And then be there to answer questions, be there to guide, mentor, and develop to the next level. But I don't need to be in the day-to-day. One, I don't have time. And then two, I have no desire to micromanage anyone. I, in my lifetime, have been micromanaged in the past, and it does not feel good at all. You do not feel like you have autonomy or control, or like they're trusting you in doing what you're good at. And so I like to get out of my people's way and let them go for it. And even if there's mistakes, and even if things don't go perfectly, we take that as a learning opportunity to make sure it doesn't happen again. We coach and mentor them to make sure that they're feeling like they're invested on, and they're developing along the way, growing alongside us and our business, to taking on more responsibilities as they desire, of course. And that has worked really well for us and the team to know and hire those type of people.
I love it. I love that you actually draw on a couple different styles of leadership. Certainly the delegation and the support that goes along with that you mentioned. And you're right. Like, in order to grow a really high performing team, that coaching piece is absolutely critical, because in order to have a great culture, you need trust. And if you're constantly micromanaging people, they don't feel trusted. They don't feel valued. They don't feel like they belong in your business. So I can imagine, how you would use those different leadership styles, like daily, like morning to afternoon, Carla, in your business. I love that.
Yeah. And I think what maybe you guys can identify with is that are listening to this episode, but I'm a very much a control freak kind of person, right? And so like delegating and like giving up control and letting people do their thing was not easy for me,
No.
right? And the first thing I did is I had to kind of learn that skill set, and I had to be okay with it being done, not exactly the way I wanted done or I would have approached it, but as long as it was done and there were no mistakes, we were good.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that it's easy to say, oh, we can be great leaders and we can do this and we can show up this way. But it's not easy for everyone. And like I had to work really hard at getting to the point where I was okay letting go, trusting my team, and, also coaching along the way when things didn't go well and
Yes.
holding them accountable for the results I
Yes.
expected. And it's a process and it takes time and you will get there. So if you're like listening to this thinking, oh my God, she's perfect or whatever, not at all. Like I am still a control freak. There is moments where I'm like, well, I can do it better. So I should just jump in and do it. And then I say, nope, can't do, gotta trust the team, let them do their thing, come back and coach if you need to, if it's not done the way that needs to be done. Giving them space to get to it also, because I'm very much, well, I can do it right now and I have 5 minutes so I can finish it and like we can be done, and say, nope, we're gonna hold off and give them one or 2 days or whatever the deadline was that we gave them to come back and check on it. And obviously, if things are not getting done, that's a different conversation.
Right.
But my point being is it takes that practice and it takes a constant awareness as a leader to know what are your weak areas and how do you help yourself, keep things under control and just check in.
Yeah. Yes to every single thing you just said. We can stop the podcast again because Carla nailed it. I think the most important point in all of that is you're absolutely right. People deserve great leadership, not perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. And being a great leader is a constant level of effort. It is a journey, not a destination. You are never done. Never, ever done in your leadership journey. And it is a journey of personal growth. It is, being a great leader is deeply personal, and it should be. And it should be hard work. 100%. But I think, you make such a great point that it's not easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. There are huge payoffs for you personally, but also in your business, because now the people in your business are generating all the value. You can only generate so much value. When you have a great team and they're working at a high performance level, they are generating value for you. That's what really grows businesses. And I love that.
Yeah. And what I think about too is, when things, when I'm not a great leader, let's say, and I don't show up the way I need to show up, I also take personal responsibility for that. And I make sure to communicate that to my team and say, listen, I know I messed up here and I'm going to do better next time because I'm self-aware of, what I did wrong. And I need to make sure that that this wasn't your fault, that this wasn't communicated properly to you, or we didn't do, the right, expectation setting. And it's, I think part of being, a humble leader is to realize when you've made a mistake and when you can do better for your team next time. And it's scary at times, right? To confess that maybe you didn't show up the best way.
To admit they're wrong.
But I think that by doing that, I am also opening the door to let my team know that it's okay to make mistakes and to correct them, and then to be communicating about it and open about our mistakes so that we can then learn from it and fix it next time. But, that is the type of culture I'm trying to, build in my business and that I bring to my team. And then they know we can have those tough conversations and be okay because we're going to move on and learn from it.
You just said something there that is so critical. Intentional about your culture. So culture will develop. If you have more than 2 people, including yourself, in your business, you have a culture. Let's just be clear. And if you choose to ignore that culture, it will develop all by itself. And that means it may not develop in a way that you want. You may get unintended behaviors and outcomes because you're not paying attention. When you are intentional about what kind of culture you want to have, and you lead those behaviors that will craft that culture. You create something that's very powerful that people can identify with. And again, they will bring their very best work to your business because they know there's trust. They know that you're a humble leader. They know that you care about them. They know that you see them and you value them. That when you build an intentional culture based on those things, they will create incredible value for you. They'll do great work for you. They'll serve your clients beautifully.
Yeah, and what I find is taking the time to develop what are those core values for your
Yeah.
company. It's really changing and crafting and being intentional about
Yeah.
how you want people to show up in your business. And so, for example, in our case, we have really high priority on family first. We want to be flexible. We want to understand that life happens and that we want to allow our, team to do what they need to do to make sure that them and their family are taken care of first, while still delivering high quality value to our clients and showing up for our clients. But we know life happens. We talk about community. We're really big on community, not just giving back to community, but creating a community of belonging in our company. It's really important for us. And we don't use the word diversity because I don't think that that encompasses what we are trying to convey. For me, community is more of what I'm looking for, regardless of the color of your skin or your beliefs. It doesn't matter. We just want to bring everyone together and help each other and feel like you belong here.
Yes.
Integrity, because the work we do is high trust with money and like situations, we have to have that confidentiality. So having integrity in the work we do and quality are really big for us to make sure that we are showing up the right way for our clients. And that's just like an example of like the type of values that we have that we really not just put up on the wall and read every day. We actually act that way and make sure that everybody in our company behaves that way and that our clients know that that's what we expect from them and that they can expect from us as well.
I love it. Carla, I want to give you like the biggest hug because having intentional values that connect to behaviors just makes them tangible, makes them real, makes them something we can strive for. And I really appreciate you calling that out because that's just it's so important. I do want to ask you, and you've kind of talked a little bit about this already, but where have you messed it up or made mistakes, Carla? What have you
Oh
learned?
my God. How much time do you have? I'm pretty sure I've done it all wrong, multiple times.
Right?
And it, I think that where it started for me is when it clicked, when I realized it was all about self-awareness, right? So you can make all the mistakes you want in the world. Nobody will notice. Some people will notice. Some people will call you out on it. Some people just like walk away from the problem, essentially. And I think where it really goes wrong is when we don't have that self-awareness to realize, oh crap, I like messed up. And it will happen. No matter how good of a leader you are, no matter how long you've been doing this for, it's going to happen. It's really it comes down to is like, what is your personal responsibility? How do you want to respond to the situation? What ownership do you take for the role you played in that situation that happened, intentional or unintentional, doesn't matter. And then how do you help move forward from it? Right? Like we talked about examples, like I would give something to do to my team and I would jump in and just do it. And then I had to apologize later, be like, I'm sorry, I told you to do that, but I already did it. Like, how awful is that? And so like, I think we've done it all. I've done it with clients, right? I've like didn't show up the right way. I had, situations happening, that kind of distracted me. And like, oh my God, like my highest priority is my client. So like to mess up with a client was just like heartbreaking to me, honestly. Like I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like, I should just shut it all down. I mean, we go to extremes here, but you know what I mean? It's like, I want my clients to always feel like they're the most important thing and that they're a priority because we care about their business as much as they do care about their business. But sometimes we do mess up and it happens. And sometimes not ideal client will show up and it will try to make it work and it doesn't. And then we see the fallout of it. And like, again, we can only control our actions. So, we just say like, hey, this is just not working out. Like, I wish you best of luck. We can help you find another CFO. Like we try to do everything we can to be there for them in the way that we can, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And sometimes we mess up and things happen, right? In our control or out of our control.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm pretty sure I have a laundry list of the wrong way to do things. You know, I'm sure it happens every week and every month. But the goal for me is really, can I avoid that next time? Can I learn something from
Yes.
it to make sure I don't do it again?
Totally.
And I'm sure there'll be another version of that same mistake down the road. But again, that self-awareness and then that personal responsibility is really what I'm looking for on on my behavior and what I can do to help move us forward.
Yeah. You know what? I really love that you articulated that, both as, where I've made mistakes, but what my lesson is. There is, if it's our business, if the business belongs to us, then we automatically have some accountability in anything that goes wrong in it. Like, that's just the truth. You wear the big pants, you carry the bit. Like, with what's the phrase? With great power comes great responsibility. Isn't that like from
Mhm.
Superman or something? That's the truth. You're the boss, and the buck stops with you. And that's when you're making good bucks and when the buck is falling off the wagon. And so always there's an opportunity for self-reflection. A little shameless plug. If you struggle with that, you need a coach. Um, because that is a big part of what coaches do, is help us see ourselves in the way that we can't, right? You can't read the label from inside the bottle. And you can't see your own behavior in the way that it shows up in the world, sometimes without help. And having someone who can help you do that self-reflection can sort of create that space where it isn't quite so scary to look at your own screw up mess ups, right? Um, in those places where you do need to think about how you could have showed up differently because that didn't really go well. We all have those, Carla. We all have those days
Yes.
where we don't show up. Something happens and we show up and we're a basket case, or we're pissed off. We haven't even started the conversation. We're already ready to kill somebody.
Let's say there's just, I don't want to show up, like
Yeah,
keep me
exactly. Like,
mid.
did
Like I
not
don't
want
want
to
to
come
get
to work
up.
today. Even when it's your own business, there's days you're like, I
It
don't want to get up.
happens. Yeah.
But I think that that's actually such a great lesson. You need to be able to self-reflect. You need to be able to step back and say, where was I complicit in this? What's my accountability here? Before you hold anybody else accountable for their behavior, you better be able to check yourself. You're nodding. So this is resonating with you, because I actually think that this is a really important lesson.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's part of growing up as a leader, right? It's like
Mhm.
knowing when and how we have to show up. And yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes we don't feel like it. Like we all have those days, right? Like we're all like, just let me crawl under a blanket and never get out. And like I maybe love my business, but right now I just hate it for a minute. And
Yeah.
we get over that and we show up for our team anyways, right? Because they
Yeah.
need us. And we expect the same from them, right? So it's that holding ourselves accountable to
Yeah.
what we want others to hold themselves accountable to, and how we can help others be accountable to us as well. And it's a journey, right? Not a
Yes.
destination. There will always be more work to be done. And it's it's great satisfaction to see that you can build a team and lead them and they can follow you and see the vision that you've created for your business. But it's not easy. And
No.
yes, it will fall on your lap as the responsibility, ultimately. And that's okay, right? That's why we build these businesses. That's why we work for ourselves. That's why we're the boss. And
Yeah.
that's the journey we're on.
Totally. And what I would add to that is you have the capability to handle it. Like, I really firmly believe that everybody can be a leader. And so you have that innate capability. You may need some help building on some things. You may need some help with the self-reflection. You may need some help working on some of the places where you're not as strong. But you can hold that burden, right? As a business owner, you're perfectly capable of managing all of that. You just may need some experts like my friend Carla and I to help you figure some of the pieces out. So I love this conversation. Carla, you have offered such incredible wisdom and inspiration today. And I just want to say that, like, you're the kind of leader that I want to work for. You're the
Oh,
kind of
thank you.
business owner that I want to partner with. because I know working with someone like you in your business, we can create incredible things, not only for you, but for your team. And the ripple effects of that is unreal. Speaking of your value of community. So I just really appreciate you sharing some of this incredibly thoughtful, personal information with us today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. And if you did enjoy today's episode, would you do me a favor? Would you give the episode a 5-star review and share it with all of your friends? I would really appreciate that. I've got a goal to impact 1,000 female founders, and with your help, we can really amplify this message. Thanks again for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me and all of my guests on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. We'll see you next Friday.